Good morning. Thank you for joining us again for another fireside chat with the experts. We're going to be doing another Stump the Chumps here with Dr. Bill Cardoso and Dr. Glen Thomas. The question for today is a little broad, but I think pretty interesting. We've gone over some of this. We've touched it here and there, but let's just answer this question right up. The question is, what industries do you all work with besides the electronics manufacturing industries?
Wow, how many hours do we have?
Special edition, we got all day.
All day? That's awesome.
Well, that leads us to the other answer is what essentially is X-ray, right? So we look inside of products. We can look inside of packages without disturbing the packages. We can see just about anything that is inside of a product. So it opens it up to a broad range of different applications. And in a lot of cases, that would be considered in the realm of X-ray non-destructive testing, right? And there are a lot of sub-modalities in non-destructive testing: heavy industry, light industry, security, fraud prevention. A lot of different avenues, just as a broad stroke. So we could be done right now.
There you go. That's the answer.
Everything.
Everything. X-ray, everything.
Yeah, the fraud prevention is actually one that we've seen an uptick, right, with COVID. Why? People are home buying stuff online, and this, increase in e-commerce flux has increased, from what we can tell, the criminals' interest, right, in making some money or ability to make money. And the way it works is fairly straightforward, right? Let's say you buy an iPhone, right? You buy an iPhone from an e-commerce website, Best Buy, Target, Amazon, and so you buy the legit item and then you return the fake item. And what you do is you can go to eBay or any other website like that, and you can buy basically an empty device that looks just like an iPhone, like the ones you use at, go to Walmart. You have those empty phones so you can play with, and it feels like a phone, but it's a fake one. So you buy the legit and return a fake device, and of course, it can be very lucrative. And the e-commerce website that takes that fake device back loses out, can potentially lose out quite a bit of money, because you got to find out first that you have a bad device to be able to go after some of those criminals. So we've seen a very interesting and very powerful use of X-ray machines to inspect, to take an image of this thing as the devices as they come back, to figure out if they're the legit device or not. So it's like Glenn said, right? The ability to see inside things into image these devices presents us with quite a bit of opportunities outside electronics per se, right? Looking at VGAs, QFNs, through-hole vias, and other electronic features like that. And so just in the counterfeit detection, right, fraud prevention, it goes from, like we said, from returns from e-commerce to the fashion industry, right, Glenn? Where you can actually tell if a luxury bag or even a shoe is legit or not by just looking at how it's constructed, right?
And the same as with the electronics, right? Counterfeit components, a 10-cent component may be counterfeited. Same thing with the products. We're seeing that very low dollar items are being counterfeited as well. And so it is a growing industry. And to some degree is the cause in the uptick based on the original supply chain disruption, right?
Yeah.
So companies that produce a authentic product, their supply chain has been disrupted from shutdowns and numerous things.
Yeah.
There's a void to be filled there to a degree. So it's truly an opportunistic crime, and I do look at it as a crime.
Oh, yeah, definitely crime. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's no, but yes, we can actually X-ray items, and really, what's pretty cool is we could actually fingerprint the item as well, right? Just like with electronics.
Yeah.
We can actually identify that component later on, especially for a high value. If you're talking like $20,000 bag, you could fingerprint it and when it was sold, and then someone that comes back up on the resale market, you would be able to look at it again and say, yep, that's the same bag.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of opportunities in the fashion industry and in counterfeit detection, fraud prevention. So it's a fun industry, and it's all of the things that we X-ray outside of the electronics industry are pretty exciting. And it's
Electronics is exciting as well. It's not too bad.
but it's fun to actually see the results and see the amazement, outside of the electronics industry. The electronics industry, X-ray is a given, right? You need it,
Yeah.
what you do. But in some of the other industries, when you actually show them the results and you see that almost childish excitement, right? It's like that's the fun part, and it actually adds a lot of excitement to our job. As far as spreading the gospel of X-ray.
It's like seeing for the first time, right? Seeing the magic for the first time. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely, yes. So that's one of our major industries that we really are excited about is the fraud prevention. It's a good industry, and it's fun to be able to be a pioneer in that industry as far as setting some of the standards, as far as what it takes to X-ray a product, and that's
Always amazes me what they can counterfeit. Honestly, they are very creative people,
right.
criminals in general, If you think I mean, even all the way down to, capacitors, like ceramic capacitors, right? I mean, who would think? Why would you do that? But, if you can make a buck, and that's where the laws of economics don't really work for us sometimes because, a really inexpensive device, you would think, oh, there's no money to be made there. But in other territories where labor is very inexpensive, right? If you do enough of them, you actually make a lot of money, right? Now, if you have to pay someone $20 an hour or $15 an hour to do something, well, there's a level of counterfeit that you have to do to be able to make money. But if you're paying them $20 a month, right? It's a whole different set of opportunities that they have. So the whole counterfeit is very interesting. I'm always fascinated by when we can, bring X-ray inspection to, like you said, Glenn, to industries and applications that have no idea can be done, right? Like the sports industry, where by X-raying simple things, right, that you never think of X-raying before, allows us to see features and construction aspects of these devices that the people who make them, right, they have to imagine how these things are being built, and then you show them an image, an X-ray image, like, oh wow, that is so cool. That's exactly what I had in mind, but not because this is not what's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. Sometimes the results are less than enthusiastic once the initial wow factor, right? Then the reality comes in that they have some major flaws in their process that need to be addressed.
Yeah, and also it reminds me of the guys or the customers we deal with when they have let's call it a legacy or an antique or old X-ray inspection system with less than ideal resolution, right? Then we upgrade to a brand new digital high resolution with a micro focus source, show them the image, and they look at the image and say, oh, wow, this same part would pass in my other X-ray machine. Now, this is way too much information. Can you guys just
Yeah, that's right. Can you throttle that back a bit?
throw that back? It's way too much information. Won't pass anything in my production line anymore.
Right. Nothing went out the door last month. But the sports industry is an interesting industry that is it's a phenomenal industry for taking on technology, right?
Yeah.
So it's such a simple product, and it's they are receptive to taking on the technology to improve their products, improve the performance of the products as well. So
yeah, it's an industry that lives and dies out of peak performance, right? So if you have, when you have an athlete performing at its peak capacity, you want to be able to sell that to, the person that's going to be on a golf course, for example, on a weekend, to feel like Tiger Woods on a weekend, right? To
absolutely
transplant that image, and then with that you need peak performance equipment. So going back to David's question, as far as other industries, another one that's been fascinating to me as well is the whole seed, right? I think we talked about a few weeks ago about rice and wheat and other grains that we inspect with X-rays, looking for contamination, pests, and other things. And some of the images, they're actually pretty, if you think the rice might have that stuff inside, it's
wheat infestation, exactly. So that's a true two-prong approach as well, right? So we have grain that goes into consumer products, right? So you want to know what your infestation is. You want to know the quality of the grain,
yeah.
But you have the other point of view with agricultural side in seed viability.
Yeah.
If I'm going to plant X amount of seeds, I'm going to get X amount of return. So that way you could actually, nothing worse if you plant a crop of 100 acres of wheat and you get 6 plants, right? Because your seeds had no viability.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not only on the consumer point where you're taking the grain and converting it to consumable product, but you're also looking at the viability of the seeds when you plant the seeds. So the agricultural industry is pretty cool. Not only on seeds, you can actually look at root development as well. There are some specialized X-ray systems that will enable you to look at the root structures and look at some of the internal structures of the plant. Genetically, you can make some genetic changes to the plant, and you can see that the roots have more viability under certain conditions without disturbing the roots, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
So for studies. So the agricultural wheat seeds, that's a huge, it's actually another one of those that you really get a kick out of actually providing a solution, right? Because you're going back to helping millions of people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. So you can, little company in San Marcos building X-ray systems can,
yeah,
world a better place essentially through that. On top of the medical devices and the parts presence and placement type applications that we do, which are pretty straightforward stuff, right? So
yeah, and it's people often ask us, right, what, and it goes back to what you go back to David's questions eventually, but they're asking about the impact of COVID and in the business, and again, we haven't seen any, we've been talking about automation, robotics, autonomous systems for a long time now, and this whole pandemic, I think, has expedited a lot of those things to happen, right? So more and more customers are coming to us and saying, hey, instead of an operator, can you put a cobot to feed samples inside the machine and take samples out of the machine, right? So we've been working, we have a good partnership with Fanuc, and we've been working in quite a few projects with them that we talked about, and they would happen from time to time, but I think this whole thing just got expedited. So it's, and the fact that we have that integration also opens to a different range of applications, right? Where you can really remove the human from the process, 100%, other than presenting, loading samples in and out. Maybe that can be automated at some point, at some level, but it's very interesting, from everything from medical devices to die casting, right?
Right. And this as you said, this lockdown, this COVID, this transition out of a central location for manufacturing and office has led us to the point that we are trying to, or we can eliminate the X-ray machine from your facility as well.
Yeah.
Right. We have worked with some plans in the works that we're working with. You would be able to, if you think you need an X-ray system or you need an X-ray of a product, you would have the ability to operate the X-ray system from your desk, from your house, back in the woods.
Yeah.
So it not only has it improved the ability for the autonomous type X-ray system, but it's also improved the expedited the ability to expand the X-ray capabilities to people that would not have, primarily looked at it in the past. Hey, I want to X-ray this. You go to the boss and he says, it's going to cost you 50 grand. And it's like, yeah, no,
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. But with the services that we're looking at providing in the near future, you have that ability. You send us the sample. You can do all the things you want. You apply all the state-of-the-art tools that we have available for very little cost.
Yep.
So, and if with a subscription type service, that makes the remote engineer very powerful in his ability to look at product in that fashion, right?
Yeah.
So the X-ray industry is changing to a degree, and we are, I think we're on the cutting edge of that change.
Yeah.
Some of the services that we're going to be providing, and we do provide currently.
Yeah, that shifts the cost of ownership equation quite a bit, right? So you don't have to, with the virtual expert service we have, where we have the X-ray machine and you send us samples and you basically subscribe to use the machine on a monthly basis. You basically buy hours on an X-ray machine, right? Almost like a Airbnb or an Uber, right? You buy as you need to use the asset, right? And also, because you're right, the operator, the engineer might not be in the factory or in the manufacturing plant, right?
Right.
Maybe at home, working from home. So, might as well displace the asset, right? And use it as needed.
Right. Right. And that's that opens up the industries that normally would not be able to afford or would really consider X-ray, right? So that's it's pretty exciting stuff as well, and it will expand into other industries as needed. So sometimes you only need to do a customer return. Sometimes you have a limited application. And in some cases, like electronics, once you get your process down, all you're doing is verifying the process on a regular basis. So that's one of the really cool things about expanding into different industries, right? So that's one of the fun things that we do. I mean, it's really interesting. I like to say I've X-rayed everything from Barbie dolls to bombs, right?
And everything in between.
Anything in between. From the some things that are really pretty mundane sometimes turn out to be pretty interesting projects when you start learning some of the intricacies to get to that point and to get to that product, right?
Yeah.
So it's what do you mean you want to look at a 50-pound brick of paste? What's this paste for? Fig Newtons. Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So yeah, so the industry, we see a lot of different industries. So sometimes it's hard to pick out your favorite industry.
Yeah, and also the message we have to make sure we put it out there, right? Is that we work really hard to lower the barrier to X-ray inspect whatever, right? In other words, if someone in any application has a vague has an issue, right? An issue inside a product, or the cost to take apart a product or a package is reasonable, it might make sense to just X-ray it, right? Even if you've never done it before or you don't think it's going to work, right? Come talk to us, because we do this every day. We talk to people every day who had no idea X-ray inspection could work, and it actually works really well. And vice versa as well. We have people who think that it's going to work perfectly. It doesn't, and we'll let them know right away. But that step, right, that barrier of entry is what we need to bring down as much as possible, so people are encouraged, right? Give it a try. The cost is very, very small, and the benefits are huge, right? If you have 50,000 packages you have to open one by one to figure out if you put a piece or not, right? You might as well just X-ray them all and have a machine telling you if that piece is in the package or not.
Right. I have a warehouse full of product, and we're missing one of the pins from our fill machine, right? We're not sure
Exactly.
It's in there or not.
Yeah, or somebody's ring is in one of the packages, right?
Right. Where'd that
You
ring?
got a ring coming in, didn't have a ring coming out.
Right. He's going to get a surprise when they open it up. It'd be like the Cracker Jack days, right?
Exactly.
Got a $10,000 ring in this box. Yeah. So it's, and even things like antiquities, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of times you'd like to see what's underneath. Paintings, it's another fun one. So there are essentially the possibilities to X-ray products and items is endless. It's one of the things that drove me to the X-ray industry and has kept me in it for all these years, is the ability to never run out of cool things to X-ray, right? There's something new.
It's intellectual curiosity, right, that keeps you on your toes, right? There's
Absolutely.
always someone asking, "Oh, can you do that?" Like, what? What do you want to X-ray? Sure, let's give it a try.
Absolutely. And there's some of those things that we X-ray that are, you would never think, like tires, right? Car tires, automotive tires, industrial equipment tires. That's one of the strange things. It's like, what do you mean you X-ray tires? Why?
Yeah.
Right? And then you get into the details of the engineering of tires, and it's quite a feat that they produce a tire that'll last 50,000 miles.
It is. Yeah.
By accident. It's a highly designed and engineered product.
Yeah.
Some of the simple products that you look at, that we do look at, you're thinking, well, that's just X, right? And then you learn that oh no, there's 72 years of engineering expertise built into that product, right? Yeah, but all it does is go from left to right, right? That's the same conversation we've had numerous times. And
yeah, I mean, it's incredible how much X-ray technology is used in the automotive industry, right? I mean, every little piece, system, subsystem you look in a car or a truck is, has at some point very likely been X-rayed from the valves to even the engine block depending on the car that you're buying. To the windshield wiper holder, right? Remember the project we had for that windshield wiper was breaking, not the wiper itself, but the arm that engages with the electric motor. So it's such a wide range of, and now cars, of course, are becoming more and more electronic devices, right? So everything related to through-hole via inspection to VGAs and QFNs and chip scale packages that cars are using nowadays, and the batteries, right? If you look at electric cars, I mean, all those batteries, it's things that we've been inspecting for a while now, but it's getting to a volume and size that, really scale up pretty fast.
Absolutely. Yep. So it's it's a fun industry, and that's the key. Is you have a product you think that you would benefit from X-ray. It's a simple task. Just give us a call, and we can actually help you through the task. And it doesn't always result in an X-ray purchase. Do a lot of X-rays that are not viable, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's material-wise, it's not conductive to X-ray. Just some things just can't be X-rayed. So, and it's sad when that happens. It's almost like a funeral, right?
Yeah.
Oh, X-ray failed.
Yeah.
How can that be?
Yeah. So it's a good question, right? What are the things that do not work? I guess if you're looking for, so X-rays are really good at telling density differences, right, of a material. If something is dense, something is light, we can tell them apart pretty well. If things are all about the same density or with the same density, then it gets more complicated, right, to tell them apart. So that's one of the things people can think about, right? That, for example, it's the medical kit, remember, application we had? I was actually very impressed that we were able to pick up the gauze inside that tray, the surgical tray. That was actually pretty cool.
Right.
It's a very, very, light material inside a plastic tray, but we're able to pick up and figure out where things were, scaffolds, scissors, and all that, needles, and we're able to tell them apart and where they were. Right. So that's one application where they were actually opening every surgical tray to find out if they have put everything they should have put, before sending to the hospital. Then after you open, you have to re-sterilize. And so that's like a classic X-ray inspection application that now with AI and machine learning got to be, from a manual, somebody looking at an image, counting things, to a fully automated application. And as you said, if you have 200,000 of these things sitting in a warehouse, automation, is very helpful.
That's right. But it's not only do we have the AI, but we also have the improvement in image detectors.
Yeah.
Is what we had, say, 10 years ago. We have scale. So what we can do is, and our algorithms as well, we're doing some revolutionary things in our algorithms to help us translate that grayscale into a usable data, right? So essentially, used to be we had 256 shades of gray. That's the best it got. The digital detectors give us a much broader range of grayscale, and we can apply, it used to be you would have black and white, more or less, right?
Yeah.
And when in digital detectors and in image intensifiers, the ability to pick up a broader range of grayscale helps us immensely in our ability to pick up things like soft density, gauze, paper, and that sort of thing, right? So it's, and as we improve our algorithms and improve our ability to interpretate images, we'll get more and more successes in some of those areas right now that we can't see, right?
Yeah, or we take an image of those bags, like the luxury bags. You can see the whatever they call that, the lining on the on the bag, and the folds, and all this stuff is just incredible.
Yep. So it's an exciting industry, and we continue to revolutionize the industry with each release of software.
Yeah.
With the new detectors that are available. So it's it's a fun industry.
So does that answer your question, David?
I don't think you're quite done yet, but it is 10:30. You want to go to a lightning round, name off other things industries you've worked with, but don't have time to talk about?
Yeah.
I know we did ballistic plates for military use, right?
Art.
Art,
Yeah.
fish finders.
You.
Right. We do a lot of, you could do bottle fill inspection, right?
Forensics.
Forensics. Forensics is a huge industry. That is not only criminal forensics, but investigative forensics on and then accidents, things like that. Mechanical failures of forensics with mechanical failures. The criminal forensics is an interesting thing, right? And then you get into the some of the baggage inspection, food inspection. There are all kinds of really cool industries.
Lighting. Forgot lighting. LEDs.
Yeah.
Right?
Huge market. Yeah.
So you have the LED lighting, LED modules. That's more of an electronics application. But if you look at tungsten, some of the tungsten and some of the HID lighting, the placement of those anodes is key in producing not only the light, but actually focusing the light outside of the envelope. And those are purely mechanical measurements that need to be used, that X-ray needs to be used because you can't see through the glass. It's an opaque glass, right?
And it's one of the most beautiful images we've ever seen, right?
They're gorgeous.
Like pieces of art. Yeah.
Exactly. They are art. But that's one application that's purely a mechanical assembly that X-ray is instrumental in actually making it work and making it work consistently. So you get a $10,000 light bulb. You got, in a sports stadium, it may take you, 20 hours to get up there and change that light bulb by the time you get the lifts and get everything in place. And you get up there and you realize that the light bulb doesn't produce the brightness that's consistent with every other light bulb because the manufacturer didn't, have a quality control system. So it's key. And then a lot of times the X-ray is the final process, but it goes way back as far as engineering and in cost. The cost of not X-raying something is huge in some cases.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we have definitely run over today, but too big of a question, too broad. But thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it, Bill. Appreciate it, Glenn. We will see you all in 2 weeks.
All right. See you later. Thanks, David.
Great restaurant.